Welcome, everybody, to the latest episode of Leaders at Next, where we sit down with athletes redefining the game and chasing greatness one play at a time. Today's guest is Cole Sullivan, number 23, linebacker, University of Michigan. Coach Moore said this about Cole recently. Cole Sullivan is a guy that continues to climb and continues to make an impact. He was a guy that people weren't talking about. He's a younger guy, but has really stood out. He's very multiple and does different things. I think from a defensive perspective, Cole is a guy that's really jumped out to me. After burning his red shirt by appearing in 12 games last season, mostly on special teams, where he was named Michigan's Rookie of the Year on special teams, he entered this season ready for more. And if you were at yesterday's game or saw it on TV against New Mexico, he delivered. We're excited to hear about it, Cole's journey from Pittsburgh, PA to Ann Arbor. Cole, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me on here. I'm excited.
So, Cole,
appreciate it.
Starting off here, what's the number one thing you want Michigan fans to know about you?
Yeah, I think the number one thing I want everyone to know is that I'm just going to give everything I have to this program, this team, this school. You know, I'm very grateful to have this opportunity to play for, such a historical program and, Coach Moore and with all these guys around me. So, I'm not going to let that opportunity just slip by. I'm going to give everything I have.
Well, we're excited to have you here, and looking forward to hearing more about how you got to Ann Arbor. But we're gonna, just like any big game, we're gonna do some warm ups here. So we're gonna do a quick question and answers. I'll start. What's your favorite? You've been in Ann Arbor now, a year and a half, 2 years. What's your favorite place to eat?
My favorite place to eat. It's got to be Frida Batidos downtown. I love the burgers there and also the milkshakes they have. They're very good. So I always take my family there when they're in town.
Do your Blue Buck? Are they still called Blue Bucks? What like?
Oh, it's Feeling Blue. Feeling Blue.
Does it work at Frida Banditos?
No, it doesn't. They sometimes have it catered to us for the team, but no, we can't go there and use our Feeling Blue.
No, that's still a good deal though. Do you have roommates?
I do. I currently live with Blake Frazier, Brooks Barr, and Evan Buderwick.
Now, it's up to you. You don't have to name names. You could leave it anonymous between the three of them. But the follow-up question is, do your roommates do anything that bug the crap out of you? Any pet peeves from the roommates?
No, not yet. So
Okay.
we actually just moved into it together this summer, really right before fall camp. So really, so far so good. I mean, we're almost never home anyways. So.
No dirty dish bandits, nothing like that.
Not yet, not as of right now. We'll see. Might have to ask me later down the road.
What's a defensive guy like you hanging out with three offensive guys?
Hey, you know what they say about keeping your friends close, your enemies closer. So yeah. I gotta get in their minds a little bit.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. What any pregame rituals or superstitions when you're getting ready for a big game?
For me, like not really. Other than just praying. I'm huge in my faith, and I always need some time to myself just to pray, and that really puts me in the right mindset before the game.
How about hidden talent?
Are you? Yeah.
Oh,
go for it.
Hidden talent.
Yeah.
I really don't have one, but I guess I would say, during fall camp, some of the guys we were doing some magic tricks with the cards, so I picked up a few of those. So that might be it for me.
So Cole, we've been doing this a while. I think we're like 30-something episodes in. Magic is the first. This is the first magic mention. So that's
really okay.
Yeah, some singing, some dancing. Actually, I love the variety.
Yeah, I actually got some cards right here, right now. But
practicing the skills. A real artist never keeps his tricks.
Were you around when that guy? Forget his name. He's like famous. The illusionist guy that does the crazy stuff. I think Harbaugh. He came in with
Oz. Right?
Yeah, I was not there. I missed that. Missed that.
Well, maybe you could
these sleight of
I've seen it on.
Or these what kind of tricks we talking? Rabbit out of a hat. What do we got going on?
Nah, strictly card magic. Just guess your card or that kind of stuff.
Okay, that's fair. Well, I mean, you got time to work on that. You got a couple more years here.
You wouldn't be so bold to break one out
When you're not
on camera, would you?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
You wouldn't be so brave to break one out live for the on the episode, would you?
Nah, I don't think I can right now.
Follow-up episode. We get you on a second time.
All right, I have to prepare. I have to prepare better to be able to do that.
Good deal.
I wasn't ready.
When you're not consumed with football, what's your hobby?
My hobby,
Or anything, like, what do you do in your downtime?
I like to, just watch movies and chill. Like we don't get too much free time, so when I do, I just like to relax, rest a little bit. In the summer, I enjoy golfing, but like right now during the season, I just like to chill, watch movies, and just hang out with my teammates, do whatever with them.
Now I play a fair amount of golf myself. I like it. What kind of golfer are we talking? Are you like been playing a little while now?
No, I really got into golf when I got here, and this new locker room got put up because we have the golf simulator. So, I played with my dad a little bit in high school. We went probably like 2 or 3 times, like my senior year. That was it. That was like my first experience golfing. And then I just, got in the simulator and just really started hitting balls around and started picking it up more and more.
Nice.
You mentioned movies. Actually, my brother and I were just doing this. We were doing like our Mount Rushmore of like favorite movies. What's in your list? Like, what are some of your top picks, top go-to?
Okay, I gotta think about this, but staying on the golf stream here, Happy Gilmore. I like the first one. The second one was good, but the first one is all time. I like Rocky IV, definitely up there.
Oh yeah.
I'm a huge fan of the movie Cars. That was like I watched that movie on repeat all the time as a kid. And then maybe like I might throw like a Star Wars in there. I don't have a specific one that I like, but I just like Star Wars movies too.
Man, those are great picks. And you're pretty fast. Can we call you Lightning McQueen? Would that stick?
Yeah, maybe. They used to call me the Flash when I was younger, so I don't know. That might stick.
Awesome.
So curious from a fan's perspective, who's the best trash talker on the team?
Offense or defense, or either one?
Either one. Pick one on each.
I'd say it's definitely the receivers and DBs going at it for sure. But Donovan McCulley and Samaj Morgan, they can both get fired up. And then on defense, I would say either Zeke Berry or Brandon Hillman at safety.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, Hillman makes sense too. We had Zeke on the show. Zeke kind of gave more mild-mannered vibes to us, but maybe it's a little Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. Like one.
Yeah, he saves it for the game.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We mentioned nicknames. We'll see if Lightning McQueen sticks. We'll workshop that a bit. But other than Flash, any other nicknames you've picked up, especially since getting on campus?
Yeah, definitely. Everyone calls me Sully around here, around the facility. Never, it makes sense, but like no one's really called me that until I got here, and then it became pretty popular. So yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, it does fit. It's not that creative. We got, it'd be nice to get something a little grittier. Also, Sully is the guy that landed the plane in the Hudson. So you don't want to be confused with that, although that's not bad.
Though, I will say this summer, I think it might have been Max Bredesen, might have been the first one to call me this, but since I put on so much weight this summer, they started calling me Swoley, like swole.
Swoley. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let's go. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, that's why he's one of the many reasons he's a 2-time captain. He's good.
It works because it would put on muscle. Yeah. If it would have been like
right,
a little disrespectful. Your friend comes back and you call him Swoley, but for you, it's a good thing.
Right.
Yeah.
In this age of NIL, and if you could pick any NIL deal to have, like any sponsor, who would you pick?
Yeah, The easy answer I feel like would be like a Nike or Jordan, but I was trying to think a little outside the box, so I might say like Rolex. I think having a Rolex NIL deal would be pretty cool.
Does anyone have a Rolex deal on the team, or has had one? Like, did Will Johnson or anybody have?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you got a couple more years to figure that one out.
Right, that's right.
All right, so you're warmed up. We're trying to get warmed up. You got any questions for us before we dig into your background?
I'll ask you guys if you could interview any Michigan coach or player, dead or alive, who would you want to interview?
That's an incredible question, Cole. Dad, you want to go first?
Well, I mean, I want to interview Harbaugh. I mean, I've had Dan and I have had a chance to talk to him kind of one-on-one in a little private setting, but for a brief period of time, and I would love to talk to him more, especially given all the crap that's going on. I would love to sit down and talk to Harbaugh again.
I would pick probably. Harbaugh's probably one of my top ones. I'll throw it back though, and I'll say our first Heisman Trophy winner, Tom Harmon, because I think not only would I want to ask him about football, but I think Tom Harmon went and fought in World War II, and I think he was shot down over enemy territory and had to like crawl his way back. I think he crawled like something crazy. So he has a really cool story. And I'd love to hear. Yeah, I'd love to hear about that in football, and throw it back to old 98.
Yeah, I didn't know that about him. That's pretty cool.
I think that's why he didn't play in the pros. I think something happened like when he parachuted out, and then his injuries from that, he just wasn't the same. But I'd go with that.
Okay. Yeah, that's I want Harbaugh just to talk about that fight he got into. It. What was it, Chili's or Applebee's, where he just said it was like Bennigan's. It was a Bennigan's. Yeah. I love how he describes it. He says it was a Bennigan's thing, as if fights always happen at Bennigan's. It was such classic Jim.
And this is a coach or player. I want to talk to the guy that throws Victor the Frisbees during TV timeouts in the stadium. This year, I'm not sure what his strategy is. He's got no altitude on those things. He's making Victor look bad. He's putting no air into that Frisbee. He's going to get booed out of there. I want to talk to him just to pump him up, get him back into last season form. So that's a runner-up.
Yeah, well, that's a distant runner-up there, Dan. You went way off topic, but let's get back to growing up. You grew up in Pittsburgh, attended Pennsylvania Catholic Central, which, by the way, you and Dan Marino are some of the more famous alumni of that school. So congratulations. But you obviously had a great high school career, played a lot of different sports, had a ton of offers. It sounds like at the end, first of all, your offers were from, Michigan, Notre Dame, Penn State, Pitt, a lot of other Power 5 schools, all, very long list. What were your top 5 before you started narrowing it down? Who were the 5 that you took official offers to, or visits to? I mean,
so first of all, I just want to point out that I never was able to graduate from Pittsburgh Central Catholic, and since I went into mid-year and come here early and graduate early and get here a semester early, they didn't allow that to happen for whatever reason. They couldn't give me a good one. So I actually graduated from an online school, but I just wanted to, put that in the air. But that's really not something not a lot of people know. But
because I'll read about guys that said, "Oh, I wanted to early enroll, but I couldn't," because the school didn't let it, and they just kind of hung out and they didn't early enroll. But you basically said, "I'm early enrolling. I'll figure out another way." Was this something that someone said, "Hey, Cole, you ought to consider this," or did you figure that all out on your own?
It was really my parents that figured it out. We talked a lot to the staff here at Michigan on how to get it done and what they would accept, and some of the parents of players that were here. But it was a lot of my parents' work figuring that out, and then I just had to do the schoolwork to get it through. But yeah, it was pretty frustrating, because I had a good experience at Central Catholic, and obviously I wanted to graduate from there, but they wouldn't let it happen.
Did you go to prom
I guess
online? Was there other? Was there an online prom? Or
No. I wasn't able to go to prom. That's all right.
but in all seriousness, you've talked to guys
I was
on the
playing. My prom was here during the spring game.
Oh, well, yeah. Life comes at you fast.
Right.
I'm sure you don't regret it. I mean, it's an awesome, thing to obviously you made it to the top of college football. I'm just curious. You talked to a lot of the guys on the team. Has anyone else had that experience, that early enroll, that they actually had to, their high school wouldn't let them, or is this kind of a unique thing?
I mean, there's a few other players on my high school team, that ended up going to college, but they decided to just stick it out and not mid-year and graduate, and I respect their decision. But for me, I felt like this was what was better for me.
So did that impact the recruiting? Did other schools look at you and say, hey, that's a no-go for us, or did that just not get in the way?
No, this was really something we decided after I committed to Michigan.
So before you committed to Michigan, I know Notre Dame was in the mix, but who were your top 5 before you really made a decision, or did you narrow it down really quickly to 1 or 2?
Yeah, my top 5 was obviously here: Notre Dame, Duke, Stanford, and Wisconsin. And as you could tell from those schools, I wanted to somewhere. Football is important to me, but academics as well. So. That I was always raised that school comes first, and you always have to take care of business in the classroom. So,
but it also kind of indicates that you weren't afraid of going far from home, or relatively far from home, because neither Pitt nor Penn State made it to that top 5 list.
Right. Yeah. With that, I would just say that those schools didn't recruit me, at the level that some of the other schools did, and that's kind of what played into those schools not being on the list.
Yeah, what does that look like? Is that just is it the amount that the coaches are staying in contact, like the frequency of communication? Is it who's recruiting you? We've heard from some players like, yeah, hey, the assistant position coach was recruiting me, but hey, the head coach or the coordinator was recruiting me here. What makes it? What was different about those schools versus Michigan?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, not reaching out as much. Those 2 schools probably they were talking to me here and there, but I don't think I got Penn State and Pitt didn't offer me till very late in my recruitment, and I was kind of confused by that, because it's my in-state school, so I would think that they would be one of the first, but that wasn't the case.
Did jumping on the Nissan Altima accelerate your recruiting, or where did the Altima jump occur during the recruiting process?
I think that
wait a minute. Let's back up. Let's back up a little bit, because not a lot of people may know about that. So,
okay.
Back up and explain what Dan is talking about here, and how did that come about?
So it was. I think it was I know it was in the summer. I think it was before my junior year. Me and my dad put me through a workout almost every day in the summer. And he had me doing box jumps. And we had this box I would jump on, but I got pretty used to that after a little while. And it wasn't really like I could probably jump higher than the box. So my dad went to do something else in the yard, and I was like, I feel like I might be able to jump on top of the car. And so no one was around when I did it the first time. And then my dad comes around the corner, and he sees me standing on the car. And at first he was like, what are you doing? Like, you're going to, we paid for that car. Like, don't do anything to damage the car. And then it quickly went into, wait, do it again. I'm going to video you doing this.
That's awesome.
And so, yeah, I think I didn't realize at the time, how much that might, like you say, accelerate the recruiting process. But now that it's all said and done, a lot of coaches have mentioned that video, and so I feel like that definitely got a lot of coaches' attention.
And again, for folks who haven't seen this, and hopefully they'll go on YouTube and see it wherever it is, but we're not talking about you didn't jump on the hood of the car, you jumped on the roof of the car.
Yep. Right.
Okay. Yeah. From a standing, basically feet together, standing start, right?
I think I might have took one. I might have took one step in there.
One step. Okay. Folks, you can try this at home. I don't recommend it. But your insurance agent may not like it. But anyway, it's a pretty cool athletic feat. So back to the school. So you got this list. Now a lot of people, I think, outside, the outside world, we're going, wait a minute. The kid's last name is Sullivan, which is somewhat Irish. He goes to a school. Now a lot of people didn't know you didn't graduate from there, but you went to a Catholic high school. Notre Dame's got to be a lock. And it sounds like it was Notre Dame. Was it down to Notre Dame and Michigan to your final two?
Yeah. I would say those two were probably neck and neck for a while.
And so what ultimately tipped the scales in the favor of Michigan over Notre Dame?
It's hard to say, but it was really just a gut feeling. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. I took multiple visits to Notre Dame, and I just wasn't absolutely sure. Every time I went, I just wasn't absolutely sure about it. And like you said, like, it all made sense in my brain to go there. And I was like trying to make it in my head. I was trying to make it like that. This is where I think I should go, but it wasn't just the right feeling for me for whatever reason. And when I took my first visit here, I met Coach Herb, and I think I didn't commit right then and there, but I knew. I was like, yeah, this is where I want to be.
Well, it's it's interesting. I was looking at our recruiting, and Pennsylvania is a hotbed for high school football, but we hadn't had a lot of success getting guys out of there. And obviously, Pitt and Penn are pretty strong. Power 5, and in fact, we did take a single Pennsylvania guy for like 5 classes between 2018 and 22. So it's kind of nice to see that. I know in your class there were 2 other guys, from there. Ludwig and Pali. So it's kind of nice to see some of that talent pipeline, and maybe it'll continue. But we're certainly glad you're here. Now, during that recruiting, you went to some. Obviously, those are high academic schools, so maybe there's not a lot of quote unquote fun stuff going on. But any good recruiting stories that you're allowed to share, that, and you can withhold names of the guilty. But anything that was fun?
I can't think of anything too outlandish right now. I was pretty mild myself when I was getting recruited. There were some opportunities presented to me that I kind of turned down, and I it is what it is. But I didn't really. I just did all the normal stuff, and I didn't really. I was there for strictly business, I would say.
What did Herb say or do that really clicked with you when you met him?
I think it was just the way he just stared into my eyes when I shook his hand. He does this thing where he just shakes your hand and he stares right into your soul, and he doesn't look away. And the first few times he did it, I was like, I would like stare, I would like look away or whatever. And then after a while, I think it was after I got on campus while he was still here, I was like, I'm just going to like make him stare away. So I just stayed. We stayed there shaking hands for probably a good 10 or 20 seconds until he finally looked away and let go of my hand. I was like, yeah, I think I felt proud of myself in that moment. I think
after that, he probably went to Harbaugh, was like, he passed. We gotta get this kid.
I don't know. Maybe
he was worried you were going to jump on his car.
Probably not the car he had, but
That's true.
So you get to Michigan as an early enrollee. What as you look back on your first year, what what was the biggest challenges or few challenges that you encountered, being brand new to college football from high school?
From the football aspect, at least, it was definitely just, first of all was, just my, my physical, like my physique. I was not very big or strong, all these guys were pushing me around a lot. I was, again, knocked out of my gap and by the linemen a lot. But then, once I finally developed that, it was the mental aspect, just learning the playbook. All the schemes from Coach Wink can be, pretty overwhelming if it's all given to you at once. And just trying to break it apart into, different groupings, and to really understand it. Like when I would study it, I thought I knew it, but then you get on the field and it's happening really fast, and you have to know it like that. And if you don't, you're gonna mess it up. So it just comes with practice and time.
Yeah, I mean, I know last year then you spent, you were on special teams a lot, and obviously winning Rookie of the Year on special teams. I mean, I'm just curious for the fans. How did special teams participation get chosen? Did you raise your hand and say, "Hey, man, I know I'm not going to be like getting a lot of snaps during the games, as linebacker. I want to play special teams," or did they come to you and say, "We would like you to be on special teams"?
Yeah, I think, like you said, we had a strong linebacker room, and I kind of figured, I was sort of in the mix a little, but I kind of knew I wasn't going to be getting a lot of playing time linebacker. And so, I said, I want to get on the field some way. I don't want to just, sit here. I could redshirt, but I want to try to get on the field any way possible. And so, I just went in the special teams room a lot, in the off season after practice, and tried to just learn everything I could in there, and try to, gain coach's trust in there, and help the team any way I could, which in the end, looking back on it, I think worked out for me, and also I believe helped the team, because some of the starters on offense and defense, didn't have to then play special teams, so they were fresher when they were doing their thing on their side of the ball.
Special teams is interesting because offense might get 80 plays a game, and I guess defense gets something around the same number. Special teams, it could be single digits, in terms of plays in a game. A few kickoffs, obviously depends on how the game's going. But when you got named Rookie of the Year on special teams, tell us about what elements of special teams stood out to the coaches, what they told you about things that you did well. Because I think for a fan, if you see 8 special teams plays a game, you're probably not absorbing it. You're probably watching the person who's going to run the kickback. You might not be observing the play like you do other parts of the game. So maybe tell us about what went into winning Rookie of the Year. What were some of the things that you excelled at that got you that award?
Yeah, I think a lot of the special teams, what you do in special teams translates into offense or defense. I think it's all a lot of the same. So, just playing with physicality, just doing your role, doing your job, and, just being very dependable, playing fast, playing, special teams. The biggest difference between special teams and defense is that, it happens so fast. You run down on kickoff and everything is coming at you full speed. So I think making those decisions quicker and being able to know, decide what you're going to do in that short frame of time.
This is kind of a random and weird question, but on special teams, do they, in kickoff return or kickoff or punt return or punt coverage, do those positions have names other than the punter? Do they have specific names that kind of from where you are in the field? We're obviously used to safety, nickel, corner, all those, but how about on special teams? We're just
yeah. We name all of them. So
really?
I'm sure other teams name it differently, but yeah, we have names for all those spots there.
Oh, but they're secret.
I wouldn't say they're secret. Like my spot on punt is left tackle. I mean, it's the same as the offensive line, but I play left tackle on punt, and I play boundary guard on kick return. So yeah, it's pretty simple. It's not anything, crazy.
In your first year, and you're an early enrollee, so you had some extra time. But did anybody, or maybe more than one person, mentor you, kind of take you under their wing, and kind of help your transition to Michigan?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the whole linebacker room has mentored me in some way or another. Each and every person in there, but the main person I would say has to be Ernest Hausman. Just coming in right away, took me under his wing a little bit, and just taught me the playbook. He would stay after with me, watch film, and I would just feel free to ask him any questions, and I feel I would ask everybody questions, but he's kind of the guy that really just made sure I was getting things right. And he's also very, very, very hard on me, and still is. And but I appreciate that out of him. So because he's trying to make me better. So I think that's one of the great things about him.
What, as you look back on your first year, what was some of the best lessons learned that you had as a player and a student?
I think as a player, the difference between being good and great or being bad and good is very small. And, in high school, you can get away with a lot of things with your talent. But here in college, everyone's talented. And it's the little things that determine whether you make a play or not.
Looking ahead,
that's a good.
That's a great lesson. Go ahead, Dan. As you think about going into year two, obviously, we're recording this right after the New Mexico game, but what would you say has been the biggest difference for you between last year and this year?
I think like how I mentioned with knowing the playbook and just the mental aspect of the game. I think I've taken that part of my game to the next level, just understanding the defense, and it's just allowing me to play more confidently and more freely and faster. But that and just my, how I changed my body and got stronger and faster and put more weight on.
Now, much has been made of your that transformation, and people read about it. I love it. It's Wink talks about he went away on vacation and came back, and you had transformed your body. And I'm sitting there thinking, did Wink go on a 3-month vacation? Because that's pretty impressive. But a lot of people in America would like to lose weight. You're one of the few people that was told to gain 25 or 30, whatever it was. Walk us through how you made that happen.
It's a struggle. It still is a struggle for me to keep it on and try to keep gaining little by little. But no, I just got with the nutrition staff a lot. Abigail, Casey, and Kaylee. I'm constantly talking to them. They keep making me these milkshakes and smoothies to try to get more calories in me. And like you said, so many people, they're trying to lose weight, but and they wish they had my problem. But I struggle eating as much as they want me to, and I'm like I can't handle it all. But they keep forcing it to me, and I know I need to eat more, and I just have to keep, that's a battle I constantly got to fight.
Well, it's funny because plenty of people have gone on vacation, as Wink said, and come back with their body transformed. It's just a little different, a little different. Now, are you a cheat meal guy? Are you a cheat meal guy? You throw yourself a cheat meal every so often? If so, what's your go-to?
Well, I would say, my lean mass, I'm going to brag on myself a little bit, but my fat mass is pretty low for a linebacker. And so the nutritionists have told me, you need to eat some ice cream every once in a while get those calories on you. And so I would say, no, I don't have a cheat meal because I can eat, basically most of the stuff I want to eat, and I'll be all right now.
Hell yeah. You should get a deal with Taco Bell then. Just be like, look at this. I'll have
I
a couple
could,
more gorditas and look at this, baby. I'm a top tier NCAA player on gorditas.
Yeah, the reverse of Jared at Subway
Exactly.
kind of thing.
That's awesome. I do think it's funny.
And Brady,
it is a little bit funny though, in my opinion, that like I know a lot was made about your transformation. People talk about your height and like, hey, he's a tall guy, he plays linebacker. They talk about how much muscle you put on in the offseason. It is funny because in my mind, I'm like, oh, it's also usually in football, it's good to be tall and strong, so it doesn't come as a big surprise to me. Did you ever think about getting shorter and smaller to try to get better at football?
No, I have not thought about that.
Seems like I'm trending in the right direction.
A little bit back to high school and recruiting and some of your versatility. Much was made about when you recruited being versatile, and your height is 6'3", to the weight. Were you ever considered as an edge rusher? Were you ever thinking about focusing on being an edge rusher?
There was a little bit of talk about that throughout my recruitment with multiple schools, but I think what Michigan, another reason why I wanted to come here was they liked my versatility, and some schools they kind of saw that as like a negative thing, I guess. Like they didn't know where they would put me, but Michigan thought of it as a positive thing and said, wherever, we can use you in so many different ways. So, but to answer your question, not necessarily focusing on defensive end. I've always been focusing on middle linebacker, but just having that, tool in my tool bag, I can also do that too.
I know you're a Steelers guy, so I don't want to give you any bad memories. But obviously, Wink and Mike McDonald and Jesse Minter, they all ran the Ravens system. When you were getting recruited and coming into defense, either in that process or after, have they given you any like pro comps, like guys that have played in the Ravens defense that you remind them of, or that gave you kind of an idea of how they were thinking about your skill set?
No, I don't. I can't say that they've put compared me to anybody, but I mean, definitely me and Wink have we go back and forth a little bit about the Ravens and Steelers. I'll say that.
Oh, there you go.
And Coach Fee, because he played for Coach Wink with the Ravens, so I'll come in wearing a Pittsburgh shirt one day, and then he'll come in wearing a Ravens shirt, and then one day of practice, I told them to play Renegade, which is what the Steelers like fourth quarter song when they need a defensive stop. So that was pretty funny too. But
That's awesome.
Oh, that's fun.
Well, I know transitioning to the New Mexico game, you had a heck of a game. I mean, just lights out. And we were on kind of walk through. Had 5 tackles, interception, a sack. Both firsts, for you. So to come into your first, game, getting thrown into action at linebacker, 5 tackles, an interception, and a sack. Tell us, how do you rate your performance kind of from the game last Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was outperformed my expectations for myself even. I was it was a lot of fun just to be out there and make the most of my opportunity, and it was just good being out there with all the guys and seeing how happy they were for me. It was great. It was a great feeling, and that's something we talk a lot about is being happier for someone else's success than your own, and I think we are able to see a lot of that in the game, and we were competing all fall camp and all off season, and we're going at each other. But then during the game, it was good to see those guys rooting, like offense rooting for defense and defense rooting for offense. And it wasn't I'm just not talking about guys being happy for me. I'm talking about TJ Guy have an interception, Brandon Hillman have an interception, just Haynes, like everyone was excited for each other, and it was just good to see it, see that out of our team.
Walk us through, they like Dad said, well, I think that 5 tackles was a career high for you, not only, but I think it's more than you had. You did see game action, on defense last year, and I think you 4 recorded tackles last, so 5 in one game, more than last year's 4 when you played defense. So it's a hell of a start. Walk us through a little bit about, we'd love to talk about the 2 big plays, the interception. Looks like the defense got a hell of a push. I think it was Nate Marshall maybe got up in his face. I couldn't recall. First of all, that quarterback, like, I'm surprised
tough son of a gun.
They didn't do. I'm surprised he didn't do a concussion protocol on some of those hits. But anyway, that's their problem. And then, so yeah, tell us a little bit about what you guys, how you were lined up, and walk us through that play.
Yeah, we were for the interception. You mean?
Yeah, the interception.
So it was actually we were playing cloud coverage from my side, and I was just trying to get a reroute on the receiver, and I got my drop, looked back at the quarterback, and I see just the ball fluttering in the air. It's floating up there for a while. It was like it was in slow motion. And, the whole arena just kind of blocked out, and all I could see was the ball. And I just tried, went up as high as I could to grab that thing. But, definitely shout out to Nate and the rest of the D-line for making that play happen. Yeah,
you mossed the New Mexico guy and one of our teammates. So it was impressive. You had to go up there because it floated up there for a while. It's kind of a tough catch because there's a lot of traffic around the ball because it was up there for 5 seconds.
Right. Yeah. I think I didn't even realize this in the moment, but when looking back on the play, watching it over, it looked like I tipped it to myself even because there were a lot of hands up there. So
yeah,
I had to catch it twice.
Yeah, I think you took away Hillman's second. I think Hillman was in the mix there. I think you took away his potential second interception.
He already had it. We were play side on the second one for the sack. We were kind of we got a good angle at the play because our seats are we're on the play side for your sack. You ran a long way to run that guy down. Tell us about your sack.
Yeah. I mean, same thing. The D line, they kind of also made that play happen, keeping the offensive linemen to themselves so I could be free. But yeah, like you said, he rolled out other way. And I'm just thinking to myself, I hope he holds on to that ball just for one more second. And, I tried to reach around him to try to strip it because I don't think he saw me coming. But, maybe we'll get it next time. But at least I got the sack for now.
Those are 2 huge plays. And I'm just curious, you mentioned earlier you blacked out the arena or something like that. And it kind of made me wonder what a related topic. What was the atmosphere like as a player down on the field? What is it? It's a night game. We think sometimes Michigan fans get criticized for not being super loud. And it's a home opener and maybe we get a big lead. Maybe people get restless or whatever. But what was it like as a player down on the field for this first night game of the season?
Yeah, it was incredible. Last night on Saturday, for the opening kickoff, I kind of just took a second and just spun around and looked at the crowd. They had the lights going for the night game, and just kind of took it in for that brief moment. But then, after that, tried to focus in. But yeah, the fans were definitely loud. Being on defense for, I played some last year, but on defense, but we were up pretty big. So, playing in my first meaningful snaps on defense, it was definitely louder, definitely a little harder to communicate. So that's something I need to work on in the future. But yeah, I definitely felt their presence out there.
Well, you did have a meaningful game. Again, the PFF scores. I don't know if inside Schembechler people dwell on PFF. You probably have your own grading system, but you were the 4th highest PFF score on defense for the game, and in 15 snaps, so meaningful time, and obviously 2 big two big plays. So it's a hell of a start, and I suspect you're going to see the field even more against Oklahoma, given the targeting calls. So another opportunity for you to make a big difference. You mentioned people celebrating for other teammates, and so now I'd love to turn and talk. We as fans, we hear about the culture a lot, but there was a lot of talk about last year not being up to the standard, and not going to. And it feels like there's a different feeling though in the air. Again, it's early, but from what people read and see, and I've heard Sharon talk about lessons, not losses. We're going to focus on lessons. I mean, what as you turn the page from last year to this year, is it different, and if so, how?
Yeah, I think it's different. I think our leaders are doing a great job of just keeping this team connected, and like you said, like the team over me saying that we have is really where it all starts. Just trying to be selfless teammates for one another, and it's not. We always say, like, if the team is doing its job and the team reaches its goals, then our individual goals will just fall into place, and everything else will work out. So as long as we're doing our part for the team, that then everyone can eat.
It's interesting because a lot of people will hear that and say, "Oh man, that sounds like coach speak." Especially in today's world where NIL and people out get their own deals. I mean, how does Michigan, or how do you guys as players make that happen? Because everyone seems to want to have their own followers and get deals and get theirs, but it doesn't sound like that's impacting the culture at Michigan. I mean, it's just incredible to us. I mean, how do you guys do that?
I mean, I think it's just like I said with the leadership. Like we just don't allow that kind of attitude in our locker room. And when we see it, we kind of address it. But it starts to come up here and there in practice or something. And I think the coaches, obviously leaders and the coaches do a great job of keeping that in check. And if we start to see something like that, the coaches will just say, that's we're not going to play those guys. So they're either going to change or you just won't play. So
yeah, it's pretty impressive. And you know what? Speaking of last year, it's not like the culture had to be rebuilt, because you could tell that there was a lot of that culture that carried over from 2024, because otherwise you wouldn't have seen a team, maybe you're 6-5 heading into the horseshoe, okay, they got the best team, that they've had in 2 decades or whatever. Would have been easy for that to be about maybe putting film on tape, instead of kicking ass. And then same thing for the ReliaQuest Bowl. Like, would have been easy to just be like, hey, this isn't, the Rose Bowl like we were in last year. And they didn't. They said, it's Alabama, let's kick some ass. So it's not like, it feels like 2024, even though the record and the end result wasn't at the goal, but it was a lessons, not losses, because, came out every game and fought like you were 0-0. It kind of felt like as a fan. So, lots of carryover from 24, I guess.
Yeah, I think the great thing about that, as you said, like, that's not the kind of season we want to have. But the good that came out of it, or that I saw out of our team, was that the losses brought us together instead of tearing us apart. And so that was just really, that kind of reminded me, like, why I came here, and the culture that we have here. Most places, like you said, those last 2 games don't mean much. And, some players probably started playing for themselves. But, we stuck together as a team, and we started playing more for each other at the end of the year.
And hell, that's life. Like, the stakes won't be the same as you're in now, but someday you'll have a family or, a job after your NFL career is over. And shit, that happens kind of everywhere, and to learn that lesson where you don't give up or give in, and you don't turn outward, you turn inward. And those are all lessons that just make you better better father, better husband, better, colleague, leader, whatever ends up being your path. So it's just awesome to hear that that's something that Sharon, has carried on and made his own. Like I think some of those victories too at the end of the year were probably good for Coach Moore too, because it's like he's now beaten Ohio State twice. He's now beaten Alabama, so it's not people aren't looking back and like, what would Jim do? It's like, oh, Sharon can do it. I think that was important too. He says a fan.
Yeah, of course. And I think, like you said, just building confidence around Coach Moore, but not only him, but just each other. And a lot of those guys in those last two games, last one especially, were younger guys that are back. So now, just trying to keep that confidence rolling into this year.
So now that you're rolling into your second year, got any favorite stories about any coach or teammate or staff member that you can share with this audience that is all ages?
Yeah. I think, this might not be the kind of story you're looking for, but my, story about myself and Coach Wink when I first met him, he didn't recruit me here, so I didn't really know a lot what to expect out of him. But one of the first times he talked to me, he said, this was right before spring ball. He was like, are you ready to go? Are you excited for spring ball? Like, we're about to start. And I said, yeah, I'm excited, Coach, but I'm getting a little nervous too. And he's like, nervous? What do you mean? It's just football. And that kind of stuck to me. Like at the time, I was like, I was a freshman. I early enrolled. I was 18 years old coming here, thinking like, oh man, I'm playing with all the best in the country now. And I still get nervous here and there, but it's just football is kind of the thing I say to myself when I get a little overwhelmed or I just need to bring myself back to that right state of mind, getting ready to go. It's just football. Obviously there's a lot there is a lot that goes into it, but I'm just playing the game that I loved as a kid. And I think there's something to be said to that. Like everyone, and probably there's so many kids in the world that want to grow up and play this game at the level I'm doing it, and this is what I dreamed of my whole life. So I'm just playing football.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Yeah, it's not that you need me to tell you this, but we had a chance to, in a small group setting, get a chance to listen to Coach Moore and Wink. You were the first name out of Wink's mouth when he was talking about next season. He's like, "There's this guy, Cole Sullivan." So it was really interesting. I think Moore said something similar. So this is right after the spring game this year. So yeah, obviously you made your mark.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, we obviously saw a nice glimpse of the future.
Yeah.
In game one, so it's exciting.
Before we transition, by the way, to the academics and sort of life after football. Cole, I told a couple of my buddies, a couple of guys I went to Michigan with, because we have a text thread in our for every game, and they were hooting and hollering about you coming in, and I said, well, ironic because I'm going to talk to him tonight. So I said, can you let me know if you want me to ask any questions for Cole? So I will read you the question from Chris Johnson, a good friend of mine. He says, how do you get so good at football? This is from a 30-year-old.
That's a deep question.
Yeah.
He's not a deep guy, apparently.
How do you get so good at football? So if you don't mind obliging, Chris,
right.
You don't want to.
No, I think the same way you get better as a person, same way you get better at anything. A lot of time, a lot of commitment. Practice doesn't make perfect. A lot of people think practice makes perfect, but practice makes you just a little bit better. And so we'll never be perfect in this life. The only perfect person was Jesus Christ. But if we strive for that, maybe we'll get close one day.
That's awesome.
It's a more serious question. We'd like to thank Chris. He's not going to get any prize for that question, by the way.
Last call in from Chris. First time for everything, last time for everything.
Yeah, he's off the list. Now, in high school, you were, I think you, like a lot of guys that are talented and athletic, you played other sports. Was football always your main sport? Did you ever have to make a decision like, okay, I'm going to focus on football and not basketball or baseball?
Yeah, growing up, I played football, baseball, and basketball, like you said, and I always thought I was going to play all three sports in college and play professionally in all three sports growing up. But I never really had a favorite until probably high school. I decided to give up baseball, my freshman year of high school. It's just, love of the game wasn't there anymore, so I decided to focus on the other two. And then I really didn't know that I was that good enough to play in either basketball or football in college until leading into my junior year. So then once I started to get some offers in football, I knew that was where my future was going to lead me.
I bet your dunk game goes crazy. And just judging by the Ultimate video, I'd say you were dunking when you were maybe in fourth grade, or like when was the first throwdown?
Believe it or not, I think it was freshman year of high school or maybe sophomore year of high school. My first in-game dunk wasn't until junior year of high school, but I could dunk, just on my own, but first in-game was junior year. And part of that reason is I was only like 5'10", and my freshman year, like I didn't grow until sophomore, junior year. It's kind of crazy, but that's how it was.
Man,
are you guys? A lot of guys played basketball in high school on the team. Yeah, I know you got a basketball set up there at Schembeckler. Are you one of the guys playing, or do you sit on the side? You don't want to do that right now.
I'll get some shots in here and there.
Okay.
I think I surprised a lot of people with my game here when I got here. But we're not allowed to like play one-on-one or anything like that. They don't want us getting hurt, but every now and then we'll have a 3-point contest or something like that. And I think I've turned some heads on the roster.
Well, it's so funny, Cole. It was like a year ago or so. We were interviewing someone, and we asked the question about like who's got game on the team and pick your starting five. And somehow dunking came up, maybe who's the best dunker on the team, and somebody mentioned you. So I don't know if you've thrown down in the practice facility. They said Mason Curtis and Cole Sullivan, and we first said Cole Sullivan, the linebacker. And at first, as we were like,
yeah.
Wait, we figured it was going to be like a different, like one of the receivers or something. And so have you been showing off the skills?
Yeah, not recently. It was probably like more last year, but yeah, I definitely was having fun in there at some point. I don't know.
I think it was Zeke.
I will say Mason. He's definitely got me. He can do almost anything. He can really get up there, but I would I'm glad I'm up there with him.
Well, You mentioned earlier, obviously from the schools that you picked, when you're talking about your recruiting journey, the importance of academics in your decision about choosing a college. What's your current academic pursuit at Michigan? Have you declared a major?
I haven't declared yet, but I want to declare being a statistics major.
Oh, that's awesome.
Man. So you picked something that's not super easy, by the way. So
yeah,
that's great. Well, that way you can then educate people how PFF is calculated for football players.
Exactly. Yeah, I want to do sports analytics.
I was going to say, what was the passion that behind statistics?
Wow.
Yeah, I would either want to work for ESPN, someone like it, or I did an internship this summer with Mike Tannenbaum and his company, the 33rd team. So that was a great experience. I'm hoping to probably do that again next summer. But yeah, I'm not exactly sure of the route, but obviously I'd love to work in sports.
Well, it's an awesome thing. Not that we're not big gamblers, and I know people have different relationships and thoughts on gambling, but it's a reality. It's like a huge market now, and with that, like statistics and on both sides of those bets is critical. So I'm sure you'd catch an industry that's like on the boom right now. So it's a good call. This is obviously after your NFL career.
NFL
Right.
career.
Yeah. But
I'm just scared that AI might run me out of a job.
Yeah, we'll go.
Well-
Maybe it goes through some cycles. It'll try to take us all over, and then we'll have to put it down, Terminator style, and then we'll go back to humans. But that's no joke of a major. You're playing high level football. The demands of that. Obviously, you're going to be heading to Norman this weekend, and all eyes on that. But tell us, how do you make it work, balancing the school, the school element with the football element? What makes it work for you?
A lot of help from the academic team. We have a academic center that's just for athletes, so they help out a lot with getting us tutors and mentoring, and just carving out time for us to do our work. So yeah, they definitely help a lot. I think at least half of my classes here, I've had a tutor that I've met once a week at the least. So that's really been a huge help for me.
Yeah.
You mentioned carving out time, and so can you walk us through what a kind of day in the life looks like during the season, and or a week? Because I'm not sure if everybody really appreciates how hard it is to be a student athlete. At times, they see you on Saturday, they think whatever they think, but I don't know if they fully appreciate how demanding it is to be a student athlete. So could you give us a brief sense of maybe what's this week look like? You played, so you had a night game, so Saturday. So walk us through what you guys, and it's a holiday weekend, so I don't know if it's the same, but Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then when do you go to Norman and all that good stuff?
Yeah, so our off days are Sunday. After the game, they give us off Sunday, but we'll usually check into the trainers and do our recovery on Sunday. But then a day like today, we were off from class today, but we still had meetings and practice from and a lift. So I lifted at around 11 to 12. Meetings start at 1:30. Practice start at 4, and we got done around 6. But then tomorrow, my classes will start at 9, end at 1, and then I'll have meetings start at 1:30 again, practice from 4 to 6, and then that's my day.
And before 9 o'clock, before your classes start, do you go to Shem for breakfast and lifts, or do you?
Yeah, I'll go to breakfast and then try to do some type of cold tub or hot tub beforehand. So but then we lift on Mondays and Wednesdays, so those are usually the longer days. Some guys we all lift at different times, but there's a few different lifting groups. Some of them have to wake up for a 6:45 lift before class. My lift is after practice, so I gotta stay a little later, but I don't have to wake up super early. So it's a good and a bad thing, but just
I feel like lifting after, probably not going for PRs mid-season, but lifting after practice sounds like a beast. Is it harder to lift after practice or before in the morning? Feels like it'd be hard to go in and put up weight right after you just been dog tired running around in practice. But
yeah, for me, I'd rather take the sleep. I'd rather take a few more hours of sleep, but it is harder to get yourself going. After practice is over, you're oh, done, and then they go, all right, we're starting to lift in 10 minutes. So it's kind of a little deflating, but I'd rather take the sleep and lift afterwards.
We if you could corroborate, this is our last weight room real story. We talked to Brady Norton a few weeks ago, and he said, I think I'm one of the top benchers on the team, and he kind of threw us some numbers. Now I don't know who's in your lift group, but one, it would be good if you could corroborate. Not that we don't believe Brady, but we just wanted to check in on that.
Independent confirmation.
Independent confirmation.
Yeah. Right.
And then second, any sneaky lifters on the team, people that maybe folks might not know but are putting up weight in there?
So yeah, I would say Brady's definitely up there. I think I'm not sure who is the best bencher, but I know that Jake Garnera is one of the top ones. He's at least the top 3. I'm not sure if he's better than Brady or not, but I know I have to give Jake a shout out there. So
another very young guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
He definitely
bench off to me. That's what that sounds like.
We might have to do it this off season.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's well, hey, Cole, this has been awesome getting to know you better. I mean, obviously heard the coaches, as we've talked about during the podcast, they talked an awful lot about you in the off season and as a name to make sure everyone was aware of. And obviously you did your part in the first game, and I suspect that's just the start of many great things. So we greatly appreciate your time on an off day, a holiday, and we wish you the best of luck
awesome.
in Norman.
Thanks, Cole.
Yeah, thank you. It was a good time. I appreciate you having me on here.
Go Blue.
All right, go Blue.
Go Blue.